The dictionary has it with a uvular X.
Oh, okay.
Tawpnúx.
Míšnam tawpnúchencha. Tawpnúx kosha Míšnash tawpnúchencha. I don't know if I snore.
Oh.
My wife tells me that I do, but it used to be really bad. What do they call it? Sleep apnea. Before I had my my dentures placed in, I had kind of a bit of a gum disease problem, and when I would sleep on my back, my air passages get clogged up, and I'd get all full of phlegm and all, and I'd kind of start choking on my own phlegm. And one guy actually thought that I died in my sleep because I stopped breathing. And he literally put his hands over my face and was gonna see if my heart was still beating, but I'd have lain there still as a log, and all of a sudden I must have ran out of breath, and it scared the heck out of him. Then he tells me next day, man, you scared me, because man, you really snore loud and I couldn't sleep. But I guess today I'm fine.
I got that too. The trick is to sleep on your side.
Yeah. Okay, enough about the snoring. Shit, the quena sinwisha tawpnúx simyao. Talking about snoring. Túnmaš ášapnit sinna. Túnmaš ášapnit. And Túnmaš taasha. What is it that you would like to ask? Anything that you want to know? I'm going to grab my glasses here real fast. I'm going to do some. Tmaanišáaš.
How would you say something like about canning? Like today we're gonna learn how to can salmon. Or Saturday I'm teaching how to can salmon and can Tmaanis.
Okay.
So I just wanted like something to some kind of vocabulary or some kind of phrases or just some keywords.
Yeah. So so to place things like within like a jar, bottles, um, shapataat, shapataat, shapataat would be place, to place things. Shapataat. I guess so. Like a šapataatpama could also probably be referred to as a canner. Like the canners that we use, the pressure canners, whatever. Canning pot, what have you. Šapataatpama. Šapataat. Tmaanis laputáypa. Would be canning chokecherries. And whatever else that you would be canning, whether if it would be huckleberries or meat or salmon. Because listening to, again, I always go back to that. I think that's really great information that elder, when he spoke back in the 60s, of when he was a little boy yet, that the elders back in those times didn't know anything about canning yet. The jars and, the pressure cooking. So everything was ilichawisim, dried, only dried. And so then when they did learn how to can, I know my grandmother was a big canner. Same with her daughter. Both her daughters were. And today, when you go to the giveaways, so like anything that is canned, šapataani, Tmaanis, canned chokecherries, or whatever else that you would have in there, like šapataani, nuso, šapataani, yamashmindakut, or just canned meat, what have you. It is that season.
But I was going to point out, it's funny that Mercedes asks about canning today. The new CUJ just came out. We have a sentence in there about canning huckleberries.
Right.
I was wondering, can you say just taasha or šapataasha? Would they be the same in this context?
Yeah. Like Túnnam taasha laputáypa. What are you going to put in the jars? What are you going to put in the bottles, so to speak? Túnnam taata. Túnnam taata. Because in another sense, ksai, it would be like a cup, but at the same time, I think it could even be referred to like even the cans. It was funny because one time I heard my uncle and went to say, and I heard him say that, and he didn't say nothing about anything to eat. He was going to go get, something. I thought he was just talking about, when I heard that say, and I was like, oh, he's going to go get something in a cup. But then what he was really saying, he was going to go get himself a can of beer or something. That's what he was really implying. So he had these kind of trick words, didn't say laputáypa. He just said, ášapnit, I'm going to go get something in the can. So sometimes I think that could even be referred to tk'say.
Mish?
Tk'say.
Say.
The TKSAY, tk'say. I think it's how it's spelled. I'm not sure. Tk'say. I think in the dictionary it's tk'say. Tk'say.
So,
Yeah, you don't need to put a bottle of beer in that one. Just can or a cup.
sounds good. Okay.
Yeah, tk'say. How come he's always talking about beer? So the root in this to place things like within like taat, taatpama, taatpama, taatpas, like it would be maybe like where a dresser, where you're going to put your clothes or whatever. But so in this sense of placing things within for cans or jars, šapataat, šapataatpama, šapataat, Tmaanišáaš, laputáypa. Okay. Good question.
Get a follow-up. Great, I got a follow-up for this. So the dictionary has it spelled tuksai. And I know that wa would have to be real subtle. Tuksai.
Say, yeah.
Have you heard that?
Say. Yeah. Say.
Okay. Cool.
Say, yeah. Can or cup. In Míšnam, nnmas, watim, wilnu, nikui taasha, apataatpama. My sister gave me some huckleberries yesterday, and they're just in those, I can't remember those little bitty, they're just in those little bitty sale containers. And it has wherever she got it in Hermiston at some place, just enough for like a couple of handfuls to eat. So I told my wife, and goes, "Oh yeah, my sister gave me some huckleberries." And first thing she says, "You didn't even feast yet." Oh, what? You didn't even feast yet. You got to sing. Oh, do I have to dance too? So she was kind of teasing me around. You need to sing 7 songs. You need to dance every song you sing. And God, nah. So I'll wait for her to get here. Then I'll, wait that wiunu. Okay, good. Does that help you out there, Mercedes?
Women paku wapto
You're breaking up. Oh, wapto katnam patwaiwitsta. Wilnu, or Miss Pa Chipa Triwit, it's Papa Kaoits, the Wap to Katnam Pamish. Oh, Kamish out Pamayakin and the Kukna Wap to Kwal Knitpa Pakaoits, the Wilnu. Chimtit Kwatat. So you guys have all heard that this coming Sunday, they're going to feast at the Wapto Longhouse. Ciao Shachwaitnish, Mish Aiken, and the Mish Munna, Kaoita, Shnani Chal. I haven't heard when we're having our feast here.
Можнаш, ášapnit.
Hey, Kamish, Mishnamwa.
Šapataani Tmish. Well, taapnúx. Like, can you say like while I was canning chokecherries, I was singing? Like, how do you say that is the question. How do you say like while I was walking, I was eating, is it we like, what is the trick to that? While I was canning, I was talking.
On the Múntyanaš, Šapataāšána, Wunu, Šapataatpamá, Nish Wabtaikshana.
Mish, Fred?
On the Múntyanaš, Šapataāšána, Wunu, Šapataatpamá, Nish Wabtaikshana.
Okay, Kumish.
I hear you right here, Fred, on the múntyanaš.
On the Múntyanaš. Yeah, you got it.
On the múntyanaš Šapataāšána Wilnu Šapataatpamá Wabtaikshana. Was there something before Wabtaikshana or?
Inash.
Oh, yep, that would make sense.
So you're saying yourself twice on the Múntyanaš, and when I, Šapataāšána Wilnu, when I was putting huckleberries in the canner, I was singing.
Do you need to always have something like anamun or something before that dia? Or could you just say like Tmaanis šapataāšana wiwanu šapataatpamā nnam šapataatpama? Could you start with dia? Is that kind of inappropriate?
Well, that anamun is like a statement of while like when, and when anamun, you know, that that's one of the lessons I believe that we're talking about. Damien told us his class about the connector language words that we use, and the kumun, and the mun, and the chiaokuk, just different ways that we begin when we begin to talk. And it's like almost like the pauser words, and whenever, and you know, like when we're talking regular English, and the múntyanaš shapataashána tawpnú šapataatpamá in a shapataatpama. So that's you know, that's how that comes out, just how you were asking.
And Fred, just to jump off Alan's question a little, the tya is not an independent word. It doesn't show up on its own, right?
No, it's also a piece of I guess our connecting way of nnam. Speaking of, you know, just because if I say it nnam kauskta namawinamta in minit yao. Whenever you're finished, whenever you are finished, then you come over to my house or whatever. Anamuntianam. Anamuntianam kauskta or namuntianam kauskta. Kut. And if I was to say it to, you know, like I guess, anamunna, anamuntianam, anamuntiana. It just, I guess it depends on the speakers, because, you know, like we get acquainted with it. Because I could also, you know, just like saying, I could, nnam, you know, just by itself, nnam, or múntyanaš. So again, it just, I think it's a kind of a speaker's preference of how it comes out to be. Okay. All right, Alan. Mishi lushak na kalapunya pa. Alan, mishi lushak na. Mishi lusha kna. Separate that right there. Kuna with the W. There you go. Mish ilusha kuna kalapunya pa. Is it burning down there in California?
Oh, Alan, you're muted.
China Chow Ilusha, California pa. China Bay Area, Berkeley pa Chow Ilusha.
Okay. Maybe it's just too good and green.
Yeah, I'll you I don't know, wet.
Oh, is it raining?
Well, almost.
Miss you tuk
Tuk-tuk-sha. And the fog, fog.
Pastat.
Ashtan?
Pastat.
Ashtat.
Pastat.
Ashtat. A pashtat. Pashtatisha. E. Pashtat. E. Peish. Al-Haich. Nach Al-Haich. Nchi Ilushita.
Miss Yasa my samam.
In 1 month. Nach Al-Haich.
Jewish.
Peish Nchi Ilushita China. I don't know if I said that right, but it's a serious problem. Payu with Nchi.
Tell me in English and then we'll
China
translate what you're
Chichimba.
saying.
It's a serious problem. It's a big pathology in this landscape. It's a serious problem. In 1 month, there might be a big fire here.
Oh. Paishachwe mun chialchaichpa.
Achleiman. Al-Khaikpa.
Ilutachna. Paishachwe mun
Ilutach.
chialchaichpa ilutachna. It
Ilutach.
could burn. It doesn't say that it will, but it could burn.
Yeah. Yeah. Achlai is what next time
Later.
when month
Not
in a month.
quite. In a while.
Okay. Later in a month, it could burn here. Yeah. Yeah. Probably.
Well,
Probably.
hope not.
I'll just say probably instead of maybe, Fred.
And I hope not. Puchwa. Puchwa. Ciao,
Paishchusht. Okay. Nich kwainam namach. And then mishawi what's that kana. Akhway jamun na shwinat takna payum jamun and the kuchiao alchai I naunikita. Jean.
Yeah.
Jean.
Yes.
What's been happening with you?
I was thinking about how the word drying, because when I was little, we picked chokecherries up in between Wapato and Tmaanis, where my uncle farmed, and there were beautiful chokecherry trees. And my aunt told me we could only pick so many because Watson told us and his family were going to come and pick, and we could only take some home. So we always dried them on old screens, turned them every day, washed them and turned them until they dried. And we take them home in a Cheerios, old Cheerios box back to the city. And I remembered Watson told us coming with his family to pick the chokecherries. And it was so beautiful because I love the way he tied his braids at the bottom. They were tied at the bottom. He just seemed so regal when he came to pick the chokecherries. I just felt really just lucky to see him. Very honored to see him and his family.
Yeah, he was quite the elder. I remember I was around him too, and my grandmother knew him. Well, he knew a lot of people over here. He was related over here to. He's related to some people over here today, the Minthorns, because his sister became married to a Minthorn. He had a sister here. Her name was Lucy, yeah, he was very inspirational. You know how, because he conducted the funeral services for my grandmother's husband. And as a little bitty guy, I remember seeing him, and like you were saying about the braids, he's wapshash. He was always braided up. You never seen him in like a ponytail or his hair down. He was always taminwa iwachawapshani. He was always braided up.
Yeah.
But that's good that you talk about how you did that. You anakunam Tmaanišáaš Tmish anakunam Tmaanišáaš Tmish anakumunam Tmaanišáaš Tmishnam ilechawin. Again, my story about chokecherries, I think I've told you guys several times about how our big religious leader today, my yaya, we were picking chokecherries on a Sunday, which we didn't have a realization of what we were doing. Instead of picking them, we just tore the whole branch off and we brought it to the elders, and thinking that we were doing a good deed for the day. And here we brought it to the table, that whole branch of chokecherries. And the sound that we got was, and that sound, when they would say something like that, like, uh-oh, it doesn't sound good. So we'd get that sound, and pretty soon they put the chokecherries in a bowl. But then there was an old man, George Gibson, was peeling that branch, and he was talking to Lonnie, and he was talking to myself, and we were getting in trouble because we picked chokecherries on Sunday, which we weren't supposed to do. And we got a whipping for it with that very branch. Yeah. So Jean, right beside her there, Jonathan, drying, put up there, iilachawin chana. Iilachawin chana. Tmishna. She used to dry chokecherries. Ilachawin chana. Tmishna. So probably put above it, above that, Jonathan, Tmaanišáaš Tmish. Tmaanišáaš. Tmish.
Yeah, what am I doing?
Used to pick chokecherries and then go ahead and add under there ilachyawitai. Ilachyawitai. Too dry. Yeah, there you go. So Gene, how would you guys, if after you dried them, then, so imagine that you'd have to soak them in water again, right? Or boil them up.
If you want to eat them that way, but we spent the whole winter keeping them dry because we wanted them for a snack after school. So we just kept them dry and made sure they stayed dry. Yeah, and then you could crush them up and make them into patties too. You can crush them up.
Wow.
Because that was a way for your intestinal, it was good for your intestinal tract, is to crush them. Yeah, and I've taught my sons to do it. We go along the Yakima River and pick the chokecherries too. That's another place to pick. We pick, and going back and forth between Seattle and Tmaanis.
Yeah.
But yeah, we just ate them dry. I prefer them dry actually. I never reconstituted them, so other than making those patties, crushing them. There's probably a name for those chokecherry patties too, made of just crushed chokecherries. But I don't know that name.
Did you use the?
So the word for crushed would be, it's spelled XAAM, stress on the first A. So it says smashed or crumbled up. So it'd be humni. Yeah. Crushed chokecherries. I don't see the word patties in there. No word for patty or patty cakes.
Oh, Fred, look under cake.
Cakes. Yeah.
Tmishmi.
You mean keeks?
Keeks. No, shuyaputinki, cake.
Kusnis aiken gana in Tintjemam en kuspa sinwi gana cakes, keeks. Well, the tamami, it has to do with eggs.
But look
So
at the word
tamishmi would be with the cake made with chokecherries. There you go.
Do you think that's the same thing as that patty?
Yeah, I would think so. Lakasha, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was just talking about that, sharing that with someone. I was at a culture camp out in Paiute country in Burns, and we did that. And we ground them, and then we molded them into kind of like a fruit bar, and then let them sun dry. But I was telling somebody, I said, "Oh, seeds and all," and then that person I was telling, they said, "Well, I don't know if you would have used the seeds because they're kind of bad for you, I guess. I don't know though." So that was the question, was if she did that with seeds, would they kept the seeds in that bar or not?
Unless you, I don't know. I mean, it sounds like when you dry them like that with the seeds and all, and then when you crush them, then they just all become part of that whole process. So it sounds to me, even though the canned ones, we spit the seeds out and everything, but still, I would think if you crushed them, that it's all just part of it. And like she was saying, it's probably almost like a, almost part laxative, maybe. I don't know.
We used to do that with the chokecherries. We grind them, old hand grinders.
Yeah.
We'd run them through about 3-4 times, and we'd bake them afterwards to kind of dry them out and freeze them. Then come medicine dance time, we'd use it to make like a soup with it. Put in water. Yeah, we'd grind them seeds and all, wash them and grind them, and we'd run them through the grinder about 3-4 times just to make sure that the seeds were all ground up. And something that we used to do when Dad came around. Go out, get chokecherries and grind them up. That was always the fun part. Trying to see who would all out of his kids who can grind the most without having to get the grinder stuck.
Imagine you could probably use a blender, huh? Isn't that what maybe someone would do? Maybe, yeah. Then imagine that would probably really, or even a coffee grounder.
Yeah.
I don't know. That'd be interesting to try some of though. If anybody ever happened to have some. Yeah. Hey, nicht Maitski, alikalat.
Yeah.
Chiawa, iwa Tmaanis, sinuit, snachi, namid, sinuit, timat pamapa, nikoiwa, ground up in a grinder, wacham ki. You see that word in there, Jonathan? Wacham ki.
Yeah, ground up.
Bardai.
Wacham ki.
Yeah, with the regular A, the A and a Bardai are other way around.
Got it.
Wacham ki.
Crushed with the grinder.
Yeah, ground up in a grinder. Crushed with the grinder. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
That.
Mishpamwa Calville Salmon. Mishpamwa Calville Salmon. Dewey, Knanamwa, Miss Leslie.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Sound like Coon.
Yeah, well, not too late, sir. Sorry we're late.
Oh, it's all good. And you guys say chokecherries, timps, huh? Timps or timsh?
Timps.
Timps. Timps.
Timps, yeah.
Have you guys done that process of drying or crushing the chokecherries, making them, like how we're talking about here?
One of our takas, I told Grace Moore, that's what she wants to do. She's done it before It seemed like last year we went and I got her some temps, but then something happened. Something came up. I don't know if it was a funeral or something. So then we didn't get to do it. But
Mm.
and this year's just been really crazy, busy. A lot of funerals, kind of back to back to back to back.
Yeah, that's been a lot of the matters here too. But I know that at one time I was at the Coeur d'Alene for a powwow in the casino there, and this one woman, and I could tell she was a Canadian, like from Canada. She was walking around and she had it in a plastic saran wrap, whatever, and it was what they call their pemmican, and it was ground. I think it was dry meat and chokecherries. And it was a ball, just in a round ball, and I can't remember what I bought it from her, and then anyway, I'd kind of nibble on it here and there. So I guess I did have some one time, but it was their way of making it, how they preserve their Indian food like that for themselves. Yeah, they called it pemmican. But again, I think it had dried meat and with ground huckleberries or chokecherries. Yeah. You guys ever tried that? Anybody? Tail.
I think it's a glottal on an M.
Tips.
M.
Oh, okay. Tips. Like that?
Yeah.
Mm.
Temps.
M.
Yeah. And now some people do Walim temps because they also use temps for just like regular cherries that you see nowadays, like the Rainier cherries, or they call them temps as well. So
Oh yeah, yeah,
we'll say Walim temps.
yeah.
Tips.
Domestic. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what we call alle klap Míšnam apataatpama my need now Tmaanis just regular domestic I mean domestic cherries.
You would use that term right there, Tmaanisháaš,
Oh yeah, that's right. Tmaanisháaš.
with given what they were like already, my Katla and the Sayat would just call it Tmish also. Just to the same thing, just bigger. So they would use the term Tmaanisháaš, but or Katla would always just say Tmish. Would ask me, what kind of Tmish? Or even like they would, because they don't have R's in language. Míšnam keksha chilish. Chilish. What kind of chilish?
Oh, chilish. Yeah. Ako ikush Janice me Nate lesson ikush Tmaanis and Chana. She used to tell that story in the Kumun Achwe Lani Iwachaswan, Lani Slam. And she'd see him when they'd be out there picking cherries, and she knew that Lonnie talked Indian. So she just asked him, "Hey, Mr. Misha, what are you doing?" And it's just funny how she would imitate how he sounded. Oh, Tmaanis chilish. Sounds just funny. Like, this, we're picking chokecherries or picking cherries, Tmaanis chilish. Vais chiao qualnish anakonachta nakuiwa mishnina awi wiyat qasha. Put them to kunaptipa. So I think this is about far as we can go today. And
Could
unless
I
anybody
ask,
had any, go ahead.
you were talking about pemmican before, and I saw there's a couple words in the dictionary. I wondered if you or Damien had heard these before. But I guess at least this seems to specify it's salmon mixed with berries. Laptala, subtala. Does that sound familiar to either of you?
No. Imagine that. Imagine that might be. Is it in our dictionary?
E.
I imagine it was probably placed there because Thomas, and because of him knowing his Blackfoot side. Yeah, I always forget about that once in a while. Oh yeah, salmon pemmican and then chokecherries and salmon bean biscuits. Huh. So imagine it has to do with because it's all like placed within and mixed, because it's all mixed up. Hey, ni hao tlao chio nis and the coon antramun is based knapskip kant and a pakota chao sinwit. So again, so when the next Thursday comes around, we'll meet again. If all, I think we're in meetings, aren't we, Jonathan or Ali Clark? Do you know if we're in?
Next week, we do have some stuff going on. There's going to be that SB 13 workshop on Tuesday and Wednesday. I'm not sure how that will affect Damien's class. And then Thursday, we have the immersion camp graduation right before this. So we could hold this class, but we might be a little late.
Okay, well, we'll keep everybody in the loop. As to if we'll have class Thursday. Kumish. Again, Chico Sanawa Shamatas and the Kuanchapam Paishin Chow Mike Kutunawat Isikut. So again, thank you guys all for joining in the Zoom.
Look up with.
Look up with.
Yeah.
Glad we finally caught a class. It's been busy.
Hey,